We'll go ahead and call the Budget Committee to order. Did we have minutes?
Yeah, we still do. I got it.
While they're looking for the minutes, is there anyone want to speak to anything that's on the agenda for this evening? All right, moving right along.
Second there. They all stick together. Don't forget Tommy back there.
I got him.
I got for everybody. I don't need to carry him back. My wastebasket's full now as it is. Huh? Good. I don't wanna take him back.
Come on, go in the back, say it.
Yeah.
Mike, one more.
One more? Who's gonna?
I got two. Did you get one? Thanks. We just look for me.
Can't give him one of these.
Okay, we had minutes for December the 18th.
Motion to approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, financial report?
Finance report is actually handed out on top of your packet, but in your packet, property tax received to date, obviously we receive a big chunk in December, so we're up to $24,193,000 for the year. That is ahead of where we were last year. It was 21 million and change last year, so things are looking good overall. Adequate facilities tax continues to lag, but otherwise really satisfied with where everything is at present. Don't really have anything else unless you guys have some specific questions for me.
Go ahead, budget amendments.
All right. First one there is requesting to transfer funds to purchase a new truck for a new inspector at the building inspector's office.
Motion to approve.
This is additional money needed. They had some money in the budget.
Second. Was this? Okay, you have a motion and a second. Questions?
Was this on the needs, by any chance?
I think it was, but I think we probably didn't put it, because again, if you look at the second page of that budget amendment, the truck is actually gonna be $43,000. He's only asking for 18, so it looks like he's got some, but he didn't have it all.
He got 25.
Got 25? Yeah.
Commissioner Smith, it wasn't
Okay.
on the needs list, we granted everything on the needs list.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Next one, I don't know, I haven't seen Tom if he was here this evening or not, but Tom asked to,
Karen's here.
Karen's here, asked to split planning and zoning into two different departments. So this is just moving money budgetarily, so zoning will be in one place and planning will be in another. This is a net zero as far as actual impact on the budget. He just wanted to split that one department into two different places in the budget. And Karen's welcome to speak to that if I misspoke or if there's anything she'd like to add.
Was there a reason for that, or
Just
logistics?
because?
Logistics, administrative, but again, I'll let them speak to it. You know, they just asked us, we got with the auditors to be sure they were good with the accounts that we were using as far as the being in the uniform chart of accounts. Once we got approval, and he wanted to split that into two different departments, and the budget was not a problem for us, so I'd have to speak to.
Yeah, why would you do it in the middle of a year? Just,
That's a good question.
what do I know?
Does it cause a problem to do it at this point in time?
No, we just have to appoint people, which we were already in the process of doing. If you approve it, we have to point people to the correct salary line. That's basically when we pay them, people that we're getting paid out of 51,750 or will be paid out of 51,730. You know, it's not a big deal for us. We just have to be sure we get the people pointed to the right line.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we'll have a motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Judicial commissioners, this is something that I'm gonna ask you guys about. When I give you status quo budgets, we create those budgets really in March. And after that, I'm hesitant to change them, but we continue to pass budget amendments in April, May, and June. Those budget amendments don't really become part of the status quo budget like they used to, because I've already given you a status quo budget, and I feel like if I keep changing the budget numbers, I'm giving you a moving target, and I'm not really making you aware of what's going on. So this is basically one that got passed, let's say, in April, after we'd already done status quo budgets. So it didn't become part of the status quo budget like it ordinarily would have, $10,000 in overtime. Going forward, would you like me to make those changes and basically inform you that I'm making them? Or how would you like to handle going forward when we do amendments after we've already presented status quo budgets, that, so that you guys are okay with where you are? I mean, I'm okay with changing it, but I don't want y'all to think I'm trying to slide something past you.
Who are you?
It's not a problem to make us aware of it as we go, is it, Aaron?
No, sir, it's not. As long as y'all are good with it, that's what I'll do. But that's what this is. Was 10,000 that passed after we'd already done status quo budgets and everything, and we didn't incorporate it into the budget as far as status quo goes.
But a lot of times we do that, right? If I get some money added from the general fund or somewhere to my budget, if I'm a department head, we approve it.
If
that
you
adds
did
on
it-
to next year.
If you did it any time before the quote-unquote cutoff, which is once I hand them the budget, then I feel like we're starting to shoot at a moving target. But
But beforehand.
beforehand,
it's
yes,
already added in there.
it becomes carry forward. Yeah. Yeah, it does become part of the budget. Unless it's a vehicle or something, which is a one-time expenditure. So anyway, I say all that, now y'all have to approve the overtime, if you will.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Probation, there's two different pieces here. 15,000 is where we did the spreadsheet this year for the pay plan, and we had an error. I told you with the spreadsheets it was gonna be difficult. Fortunately, we haven't had too many problems, but we did miss the probation office by 15,000, plus they have somebody leaving who is, we have to pay them out their annual time. So that's another about 7,000. So it's a total of 23,000 between adjusting to what the pay plan said and the employee who is retiring, paying them out. And then we also noted when we were looking at this, we were short on the insurance side, but they had 6 employees, we only had 4 listed on the insurance. So adding 2 employees to insurance.
That's what you just got left out.
Yeah.
Motion approved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
It's mighty weak, so all gonna be recorded as voting aye.
That's what you wrote us down as.
Unless you tell me different, you voted aye.
Lance is here, so Lance, you wanna take the sheriff's department ones?
I think everybody was here, but if you weren't here, read.
Replay.
First one we got is the 44,000.
This was grant money that we were gonna use to buy a van for the jail, and we can't get the van and spend it within the time allotted by the state. So we're gonna sort of ask for you to transition that money, allow us to transition it over to the jail to spend it on some new kitchen equipment. And that's $44,000, and it's all grant money.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
24,000's next.
The 24,000, was again grant money from the Department of Health for PPE, and we were gonna use it for prisoner uniforms, but we have bought all the uniforms we actually need, so we wanna move that money over to custodial supplies to be able to buy cleaning supplies and materials for the jail, and again, this is grant money. We're just moving it so we can spend it.
So,
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
And the last one is additional overtime for the jail, and if you heard my first comments, if you didn't, I'll make them pretty short. We're down about 10 positions. If you equate that into post, then we're having to pay people to cover those spots. We've had numerous inmates in the hospital. We've got 2 in jail that's in the hospital now. They're having to be a guard with them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that takes somebody away from the jail. So we're asking for additional overtime, and I can just tell you, I think this is gonna continue. You just gave us some money very, very short time ago, and but, you know, that's money that's not going out in salaries, so, it will get turned back into the end of the year. But we've gotta staff that jail, and don't think the sheriff's probably gonna have to come back again for budget's over. This is just gonna be a Band-Aid on,
So moved.
that's where we are.
Motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion?
I do have a question for Lance.
Yes, sir.
I don't really know how to word this, but over time, there's a line somewhere that, as far as the bottom line, we'll be better off paying overtime than hiring people, ain't we, Lance? When you count benefits and everything.
Well, you're paying the benefits out regardless. You're paying Social Security,
No, I'm
Medicare.
talking, not if you, we're not paying the benefits if we don't have somebody in that position.
You're just moving those benefits over to, actually, we're probably not doing this the right way, but we are doing it the right way. We're not paying out the salaries, so the benefits were already figured in the salary, so they're already in the line. We're just putting more overtime money in the overtime line, and it will balance itself
But
out.
my ultimate question is the bottom line gonna come out better at the end of the year?
No, because it's costing us more.
The only thing that you would save would be the insurance, would be the only thing that
That's
you
what
would
he
save.
said.
$12,000 a year right there
Yeah, you would
for
save
each
the,
employee.
yeah, you would
Each
save the
employee.
insurance.
But we're
I
paying,
tell you how I did that, Tommy. I tried the same thing at the city, the same way that you're talking about. And I promise you, those guys, after a certain period of time, you're gonna come out. They're
Well,
not
now,
gonna-
that's
That's
gonna
what I
be
was
the
about to go
second
with.
part of my
Yeah.
question. I know the men
Yes,
have
what are you
wanna
talking
work, but ultimately, it's not hurting us terribly bad right now. I know this is something we want to continue.
no,
You could
we
move
want,
it
we
in
want
the
to get
back.
them staffed
I
and trained.
understand, I'm not trying to talk you out of hiring
Once they
people,
get
that's
this,
not
it's gone.
what I'm asking.
Yes, sir.
But it's
No.
not hurting our bottom line.
True,
right
I mean,
now.
it'd be a continuation. at
We're,
that point.
we're moving money from one spot over to another and continuing on with business until we can get these spots filled, basically.
what concerns me is the burn down.
Mhm.
You know, you have good employees that will step up and come in or be willing to work over, and it just, it worries me because burnout is a real thing.
Yep.
So we don't
Okay, we
take,
do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I got discussion. So we don't take it from the employee line item, we take it from the general fund, and that adds to your budget, and then it comes back to us. Why would we not take it from the employee line item until you got to where you needed it, instead of taking
Be
it?
glad to do that, sir. I've
There's a
consulted
reason
with,
you- But there's a reason you're doing it like that.
I've consulted, and every time I do this, I always ask Director Mager what he prefers, and he has always stated he preferred that, and you're exactly right. And if you don't want us to add it back to the status quo, because every time you add money into the budget, you're adding it status quo.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, so it's not necessarily, if it's overtime, most of the time, if you look at overtime, you do wind up needing it. But in this case, if we ever get staffed again, you know, we may be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either way.
Yeah.
But I just,
Yeah,
I try, to yeah.
So
I
right
mean,
back to a while ago.
Where you at?
yes, sir.
Right back to a while ago, just like the 10,000.
Mhm.
In other words, you're saying if we add this as overtime, it's gonna become status quo?
It becomes status quo. Whereas if you took it out of his jail, his deputy line item, you know, he would wanna take it out of his overtime line item when he did his status quo budget, he would wanna take it out and put it back in
So
the
when we
deputy line
pass
item.
this and the last 50,000, that's 100,000 we've added to that
To
budget.
his
in the
status
coming
quo.
year.
Mhm.
Correct.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
We don't need to do that. I love y'all.
Commissioner,
So,
I see your point, but I will tell you this, if you go back and look, we've had to come back last several years every time and ask for overtime because and you did a pay plan this time, so you adjust everybody's salary, so now those rates of overtime have greatly increased.
Yeah.
So it's,
There's no incentive, so I'll give you my perspective, and there's no incentive to work people overtime that you don't need it, right? There's only incentive to work people overtime when you actually need people to work overtime. You know, if you put money in overtime and you don't spend it, it just comes back into the general fund anyway. Just like if you put money into his employee line item
But
and you
that's
don't
what-
spend it, it comes back
That's what we're doing
anyway.
by doing it this way, is putting it into overtime.
Right, and if he
Whereas
doesn't,
we
and
did
if he
like the
doesn't,
mayor asked,
right, if he doesn't need it, it'll come back. It's coming back either way.
well, I understand that.
Yeah.
But if we fund it like the mayor suggested.
Yes.
It wouldn't automatically go into the budget.
Correct,
coming
it
year.
would not. It would not. But again, if he doesn't
And
need
you can
it,
fund it as needed.
yes, yes. But most of the time, as he said, this is not his first rodeo coming asking for overtime. It's pretty
understand
much
that.
every year.
So, hey, what if we did what you two guys are asking and then just don't add it? Because it's kinda like a truck or a vehicle that we're buying.
Mhm.
He just needs it right now. Hopefully, he don't need it next year. I mean,
Yeah.
But if he does, he will. But if you
Mhm.
just don't add it to status quo for next year.
I'm fine with that
Put it in
too.
overtime now,
Yeah.
let it come back,
Yeah.
and then don't add, then
Yeah.
that gives you the best of both worlds, it takes care of you.
Yeah.
I'd be glad to adjust it back to the original status quo of the 22, 23. Be glad to.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I'm good either way,
Yeah.
couldn't, I was trying
I
to.
just know
figure out-
generally, I mean, I know we're talking about something slightly different, but if it's inmate medical or it's inmate food or whatever, when you put that money in the budget, it winds up being needed. And if it's not needed, it comes back.
He gives it back.
Yeah,
Yeah, it just grows the budget is the only.
Yeah.
Cause we had tried to keep up with that last year, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we'll probably see you next month on those two items.
yeah.
What do you wanna do?
Anything else? All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
After all that, did we get right back where we started?
We did.
Yep.
We're just gonna take it out of this,
Okay,
it won't be part of the status quo budget.
I'll just remember that, I ain't writing.
Yeah.
Y'all talk too much.
Last one is, stormwater. They need, $14,450 to finish out what they need to purchase a vehicle to replace one with mechanical issues.
A lot of paperwork just for,
Yeah.
How many vehicles stormwater now?
Must be a bunch.
is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion.
And you have it,
How many stormwater?
you don't have it two people,
Three.
you got three,
We bought
I think
two
I played
in the
it.
last 2 years.
who's Michael?
One of them was a reserve, I thought is what he said. This comes,
Who's the other employee beside Michael?
it was an old, they had an old truck.
They have one they kept for surplus that Lisa drives.
Yeah, that's right.
So they have 3
And then the-
vehicles.
They got three vehicles.
They got three vehicles.
One of them,
So they're
probably,
replacing the surplus
And they're
vehicle?
30 years old.
They're replacing the vehicle Michael drives because it's having mechanical, it's
yeah, one
burning
of
oil.
them's, one
And
of them's
they
old
take it
as
to
the
two
mayor.
shops and they can't.
What's that?
He's
One
just
of them's old as you.
vehicle. He's just full of himself tonight.
He likes his
I'm
meetings.
glad you came to
Yeah,
the
he
meeting, no
does.
doubt.
Must be gonna start our year this way, right?
He likes his meetings, that's his resolution meeting.
Yeah.
It is more interesting when he's here.
Yeah,
Did we get a motion and a second on that?
Yes, we did.
Okay,
you did.
is there any more discussion? Worthwhile. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right,
Go home, Marlo, you'll stick in the mud.
Mr. Luttrell.
Lisa, you wanna go over?
Yes. First item in the budget amendment is we received a donation from BJ's for $15,000. replacing that in the revenue line item and the expenditure line item that it will be paid out of. Second one is insurance proceeds from claims, that we've recovered. That money's going into that revenue line item and, into the expenditure line items that, those repairs were made out of. Third item, we designated money at the end of last year. This is moving 4.2 million of that. 3 million would go transfer to other funds, which we will in turn then transfer to 177, which is the next line item. That's for architect design, estimated architect and design fees for Central Pike Elementary. And the remaining 1.2 will go for a roof replacement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Now, I have a question for Mr. Russell, here. The numbers you gave a while ago on the two new schools over what we received
Yes.
in insurance and what you expect to receive versus what they cost. Could you go over those again?
Well, we took a $60 million bond. We had enough money, insurance money, that paid out the Stoner Creek. That was covered, all the insurance money.
Mm-hmm.
The commission gave us $60 million bond to do the West Wilson. We're projecting, this is not written in stone till we get it, but from what we've done with FEMA and the claims, I believe it's gonna be somewhere between 17, 18, 19 million that will come back to the county.
Which leaves what owed by the county.
Off of that $60 million bond. And what's already been paid on it. So if
So
it's
we're
20,
gonna-
just,
So it's gonna cost us 40 million to replace two schools.
yeah.
That's what I couldn't understand.
Yeah.
while I
That-
couldn't
that's,
hear a while
that's,
ago.
no, that's,
That's a good thing.
I understand that's
That's not
based
tight
on a
numbers,
projection.
that's on
I
projection.
understand that,
Bigger schools, two bigger schools.
Lisa, you want your federal projects?
which I know we have
Resolution
modern
to go.
updated buildings, larger buildings,
Right.
but we took a $40 million
Do I-
hit.
Just
because
tell
of
them
the
what
tornado.
it is.
Just
Better.
Or have you got copies for them?
Oh, yeah, the state from the comptroller. Yeah.
Can't call the arms for 5 years from the county government. But even though if you get them tomorrow, that's money, you can't, you call the bond. You may decide to use it for something else.
But now, part of that money we borrowed on our capital outlay, now, putting them up, I thought we did, or we tried to. So we could pay it back if we received those funds.
We borrowed it and put it on a bond that would make it what he's talking about, callable, where you could pay off a large part of it in 5 years, if you choose to do so. Or you could take those funds and, put it on another expenditure and take advantage of that interest rate that you got for that
I understand.
money where it's at right now. We actually have a meeting set with the FEMA folks, to try to talk to them about trying to get our money back to us a little quicker, because you're gonna be pushed with some other expenditures, and we need that money back in here without having to tax a taxpayer. If we got money coming, I don't need it, you don't need it 2 or 3 years from now, if we
You
can get
get
it.
it tomorrow, we get 5%.
If we can get it tomorrow, we can all have a good time.
Tomorrow, he got all of that.
Oh, wow. Hey, we can.
Oh, yeah.
Tony,
Where'd you find her?
Cody.
Oh, my God. How about that? She did
Would y'all
leave,
like to have a copy?
she did leave them though.
She did.
So make sure you note that. We just didn't
Okay,
find
we've
them.
got we're not done yet, got a couple other things.
One, I'm presenting a resolution, it was recommended by the comptroller's office. Basically, since all our federal projects go before the state, any revisions have to be approved by the state. This is a resolution saying that we don't have to, in turn, then have it approved by the board and the county, because it's already been approved by the state.
And this is something that will be in the packet.
Yeah.
Okay,
Information
so
only.
there a motion to approve that?
Information.
Yes, so moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? All in favor say aye. Any old business?
I'd like to talk about the pay plan in just a minute based on what Assistant Chief Howell said. It's okay. There was some confusion that, you know, he was aware of the 16 steps, but there was some confusion about whether or not they would be every year or every other year. My understanding, and again, it's your call, but my understanding is that'll happen every year automatically unless you guys vote to rescind it. So when I prepare the budget, that step will be in there unless you tell me to take it out. And I'll be glad to send out a letter to that effect, because I don't want there to be any confusion out there about what the intent is.
That was the intent that we talked about. You could
Yeah.
do more if you wanted to.
Yeah.
but as long as the money, I mean, you would let us know if the money wasn't there, and if it wasn't there, then we would come
Yes.
back together and say, hey, look, we can't handle it this time. But otherwise, it's set there to do that, so
Right.
we're not having to make that call.
This will not be on the needs list. This will be in the budget, just like longevity, basically.
Yeah, that's what the steps has to be about.
Mayor, you got something?
I do. I did send everybody, and hopefully you got a timeline for the budget, since we're talking about that, and that went out in email. What I've got for you right here is that, to talk about the opioid crisis, and you know, we talk about what we have done here in a county. We have a drug court, we have the PIC Center over there, Drug-Free Wilco that was started. And if you remember, not long ago, they had a lawsuit that they filed against opioid manufacturers, distributors, and retail folks. And through that, an opioid litigation fund was set up, and they passed money down to the state, to the county, and to the cities to fight the opioid crisis. And so you guys passed a resolution here on April the 4th, 2023, to allow our office to go and try to get as much of that money as we could that was owed to our citizens. We have done that. There'll be payments made over the next 20 years to us. As of right now, we have received $952,943.40. $271,266.10 were unrestricted. That was the first money that came in, and you used that money to help pay for part of the design of the multi-level court system, so it's out the window. The other $681,677.30 has a lot of strings attached to it that we have to take care of and work through. That is restricted funds. So we in the office have spent quite a bit of time just recently looking at what other counties are doing in cities, as well as what CTAS has gives as a template for us to do. And I've got a packet for you here for you to look at, and I don't have enough for everybody, of course, but I've got enough for budget members and 2 or 3 more here. But, okay, this packet,
277. What was it?
it was 271,266.10.
Okay, that's what I needed.
Okay. So if you look at the process, and I hated to give you the paperwork ahead of time so you can take it home with you, but if you'll just hang with me for a second. So the process that we've come up with is that in August of this year through October the 31st of 2024, we will allow people to submit applications. That's what this talks about right here. They will submit applications to the county, to go to the finance office. Applications will be received, and then a board will be put together between November and December of 2024. That board will be these people so far that we've got on the board. 2 local officials, which would be the budget chair and the health and welfare chair. Law enforcement, somebody that the sheriff department designates. Judicial, the presiding judge or whoever he designates. A service provider, which would be Scott McCarver for the Vanderbilt Hospital, or somebody that he would put in place, the county health department director. A citizen at large has been affected by the opioid substance misuse, and a county financial official, which would be Mr. Maynard or somebody. That group will look through those applications that have been submitted during November and December, and they'll award the ones that qualify. And as you will see in this first packet I gave you, there are certain recommendations, there's certain list of criteria that you must qualify for to be able to get the money. and we have to track that. And so we have a grading system that's been put together to make sure that that application fits that. So this committee will look at the applications, make sure they fit the criteria, and then they'll make that award. That award then will come to the budget committee for your approval, and then on to the county commission for final approval. They will have that grant, once they're awarded that grant, in this case, January of '25, they'll have from January of '25 to December of '25 to spend it. They'll spend it on a reimbursement basis, in that they'll have to bring a receipt in to Mr. Maynard's office. He'll have to double check and make sure that what they spent it on was what the award was done through the application process that they put in. Any questions so far? This is an ongoing process, will happen every year. So if you don't spend that money by December of 2025, then they haven't asked for the money, then it goes away and it stays in our account, and then they would have to reapply for the next year. So they'll have, from now, we will let nonprofits and those people know that think they can qualify, have an application, and go through that process to apply for that money. Any questions, anybody? Yes.
Who manages that part of it?
So the finance office will accept the applications, the committee will grade the process, it will be sent for another
Right.
observation by
No,
this
I just-
budget committee and then the county commission final.
I wonder who got the extra work.
I think the committee itself will be able to grade it, because since you said that, I do have this as well. We decided to take 3 people that had already talked to us about applying and use those as pilots for this year that you could grant if you wanted to at this time. So we took 3 of them and put them through the scale. Mid-Cumberland Human Resource Agency asked for $75,000 to build what is known as a network service center. And that service center is gonna go with the large center they're building in Dixon County through the state funds that came from this, to house people that are in addiction. That neighborhood service center would be the people that would come along and work with those people that are there while they're working, to get them job, to get them back on their feet, and to get them out. So that's what they've asked several counties around to do that. We wanted to be for sure that if we spent money in Dixon County, that it would service our people. So we talked to our judges, and our judges said, well, we're not in the same judicial district, so they won't be sit down there. But then we talked to Betsy, and Betsy said, no, that is a great thing to do, because we like to send people outside of the county. It takes them away from their contacts. And so, yes, we would use that on a regular basis. And so we talked to Jade Hamrick, which is in charge of Mid-Cumberland, and so that was a good marriage. They did qualify on the scales that we had, so that was one proposal. The second one was a $213,790 grant that the Sheriff's Department asked for. And it's a body scanner that you'll have to walk through before you go into the jail. The problem that they're having there are people that are putting these substances that will kill people inside the body cavity, and they can't find it until it's in there and it's too late. So this scanner will do that. It also has a portable scanner that can take them out into the houses that they go to, where they may think they've got something there that don't need to be touched, so they can use that portable scanner to take care of that. But that's $213,790 for that one. And then the last one is 5 projects that Drug Free Wilco got for $15,000 even. And they have 5 different projects. One is school-based youth prevention coalitions that they're going to do. It's an educational program they do with 8 elementary schools. Then Screenagers curriculum and parent training, which will be done at 5 high schools. They have 2 events that are alternate events for drug-free for the youth that will be done to Jimmy Floyd. One Drug-Free Wilco Hope and Recovery Fest that they have that will take some money to put on. They're going to put some money to match with that. And then an OD map, which is real-time overdose, a map that shows where this is happening, to give a better data broadcast of where this is going on at. So with those three are here. I have those as well. I just wanted you to see the application. I'll give that to you and let you pass it all the way around. That is the one from the sheriff's office. This is the application from Drug Free Wilco. and this is the application from Mid-Cumberland Human Resource Agency. This, our office, Susan mainly, has really worked through each one of these applications, and they have graded out. So I could take your approval tonight and work these through, and get those out the window for 24. Otherwise, no money will go out until 25 for everybody else. And the only thing that didn't happen to these, that would happen to the other ones, would be us setting up the committee and having the committee grade them as well. But we didn't want to put the committee together, I mean, we could have put the committee together, but they won't meet till November, December, so we didn't do that. We just chose this as a pilot to see how this worked, and we felt like it worked pretty good to be able to go through it and grade it. And so the application that you got, so if you want to pass them, you can, on to the county commission for these three expenditures to come out of this fund, $600 and something thousand, or you can look at them for a month and come back. We're good either way.
Did you say that the committee that you talked about initially had looked at these?
We hadn't put that committee together.
all right.
That is the format that we've set up, and that's what will happen going forward in 25, or in November of 24 and December of 20. When we said, okay, with everything that we've done and we put together, that we've kind of learned from everybody else, how does this really work? So we said, okay, there's three people that's asked us for money. Let's make them fill an application out, bring the application in, grade it through the grading system, see if they qualify or not, and these three did. So we've been through that process, so we feel like our process is a good process. Because it has to be something that's gonna be substantial for the next 20 years, you're gonna be dealing with this money.
Money on hand right now.
Money's in the bank here, been here for a little while, and you got 4 years to spend it completely. It can be in, so we have the time to wait.
My second question, so
Yeah.
if somebody doesn't utilize it, we don't lose it, it can be carried over to next year to some other.
We got 4 years to dismiss this money here. I'm gonna get more coming in.
I understand it's a
Yeah.
20-year process, but if one of these chose not to utilize the funds, you can go right on with it next year to a different applicant.
Yeah. Once you approve it, then they gotta spend it and get it back from him. If they don't spend it correctly, he's not gonna write them a check. If they never ask him for it, next year when we start over again, that
It's
money's
in the
there.
queue.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
is this $900,000 every year for 20 years that we're gonna be getting?
Let me also add this. Lebanon did not want to go through the process of all of this that we spent this has been probably 6 months or 7 that we've been working on this. So they gave us their money that they were allotted to the city. It's only $11,000, but it's in there. But they'll get money for the next 19 years as well. And so this money will come each year. How much will it be? It's gonna be substantial. Yeah. And there'll be more and more people that will ask for it to use it as well. Yeah. Yes, sir.
How come you wouldn't add this to health and welfare?
How come you wouldn't add it to health and welfare?
Yeah.
It has
I
to
mean,
be.
because if you're doing the same thing, that's the way we allotted the money in health and welfare, just what you just said.
That's the way you did, but you've gotta go through this, matrix. Yeah, I mean, it's only can be spent for certain things, and it has to be graded out that it can be spent that way, because we have to track every dime of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
can we pull those ones like, Wilco and all of those out of health and welfare then and put them over into that grant?
Only if it's opioid remediation related, you'd have to go through, if there are things.
That's what I was looking,
Yeah.
okay, criteria.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mayor, so you mentioned those three meet the criteria. Were there more applicants?
We had a couple of more that had submitted some stuff to us, but they didn't have enough substantiation to actually be a part of this. Yep.
Okay, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
These three organizations that you would like to get approved, I understand that. Now, but you and your office went through and made sure they complied with all the criteria,
They
right?
did, and that's what I passed out a while ago.
Yeah, I understand.
Passed it out.
Okay, but they don't have to be approved by anyone else.
It'll be approved by this budget committee next, and then the county commission last.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we
The
will.
committee does not have to be formed before it does. Correct.
No, but it will be in our process the next time. So So Susan and our office did it this
Right,
time.
I understand.
But the next time we'll have that
You
9
gotta have a
members.
committee together and they'll go through and,
Yes.
and
About
vet,
2 months.
and vet all the organizations that are looking for money. Very good, thank you.
An application will be submitted to Mr. Mayor's office.
Okay, well, this cause extra work for the finance office?
No more than a grant that comes in from the sheriff's office or anybody else for that matter. I mean, I'm thinking, hey, I mean,
Cause you'll have to, like you said, you gotta keep up with every penny.
well, the money comes in to the trustee's office, put in an account, Aaron knows where it's at. When they bring in just like any reimbursable grant that we have, 14 million that came through from the state fair, for example, I mean, in our office has to deal with it too, and so we'll have to have extra work to deal with this because we'll be the one helping to publicize, hey,
I was
because
just
we
curious
can't.
if an additional personnel was necessary.
Additional personnel probably will be necessary, not just because of this, but because I think we're getting close to the limit of what we can accomplish with the number of people that we have, and there's a lot of additional things that we need to accomplish. We're working on a good inventory system for the county, for not just stuff that's on the fixed asset list, for computers and for, other devices. It will include fixed assets. We're working on a number of different things. This, yes, well, I won't be comfortable. I mean, I will certainly have faith and trust in the committee, but there's certainly a lot of these things I'm gonna wanna look at myself. So there will definitely be some work involved. Do we need somebody for this right now? No, we don't need anybody for this right now, but I would think that in the not too distant future, we're getting close to the capacity of what we can accomplish with the staff that we have.
And I think I'm right on this too, if you wanna go that route, but I hadn't gone down that road, money in here can be spent for that.
That was gonna be my next question.
I believe I'm right on that.
I think so too.
Yep. For the administration of it.
One other question for you, Mayor. The 200 and something thousand, it will be free every year of the
No.
900?
That was,
To do-
that was a settlement that was made at the very beginning, that they gave out, and I forget exactly who that manufacturer was that gave that, and they put no restrictions with that, which allowed us to do that.
Okay.
But then from there on out,
So from now on, everything else we receive, no matter the dollar amount, will have to follow those guidelines?
Yes, sir.
So you're asking us at this point to possibly go ahead and approve these 3 tonight?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
And for anybody that wants more detail, they can come by the office and we'll show you the documents of everything that we've taken in so far, but it's been about 6 months, 7-month process.
Okay.
Can I get a budget amendment tomorrow? We're gonna try to knock all this stuff out in case it
Yes,
goes
sir.
well the first of the week.
Yes, sir.
And get it to Sandra, and then what she does with it's up to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we need to get it done.
Okay.
It's in there.
I hope it doesn't snow, but if
Didn't
it
have
does,
enough for-
I'll be there, but Danielle won't be there. I'll be missing.
Okay, Mayor, do you have anything else?
I do not, no,
That
sir.
first.
Can I ask another question unrelated to this committee, but I should have asked you a while ago? Does anybody have any special recognition for this month? I don't have anything in my office. Anybody got anything?
I will say, one thing that I may do, what I'm asking to do, is the guy that was 103 years old, Mr.
Yeah.
Bender, I've asked him to come, and I was gonna do him during my time.
Yeah.
Just as a proclamation, but he's definitely.
You don't need a resolution going to the committee. And we can do one even after the packet goes out. Honoraries can be done right up until 7 o'clock Monday night.
That'd be pretty neat, really.
Yeah, it would be, but, he'll do a proclamation, he'll do something real quick.
We've already done one, and I presented that, I just said, hey, if you'd come, I think our county commission
Yeah,
would
we
love to
need-
have you.
But I just wanna make sure none of y'all contacted me and I wasn't aware of it or had forgotten. It's either one's like,
Anything else? I've got one other thing, and I just wanna, maybe somebody knows more about it than I do. I noticed in the paper, Mount Juliet approved 660 home project. They're off Beckwith Road, and they was going through here and telling about it. And then I read, Commissioner made an amendment to include a commitment from the developer of $7,500 per unit. That will be split between $2,500 per unit toward road improvements on Golden Bear and $5,000 per unit toward projected development, whatever that is. Some road improvements include turning lanes. In total, an additional $1.4 million in offset improvements will be paid by the developer. So in other words, they're getting $7,500 per unit. And this committee has kind of squabbled over raising our facilities tax. And they're getting, I mean, what we've been talking about is not even a fraction of that. Yeah.
Mount Juliet practiced what's commonly called contract zoning through the use of the planning and development. They will extend density far and beyond any density this county is willing to accept. We have density in the heart of Mount Juliet that exceeds 50 units per acre. And they gave an awful lot of money to the city toward infrastructure. And so what they've done in this case is they negotiated a bunch of townhomes, about 300 townhomes. The rest are all apartments. About half of all of the units are 55 plus, a little bit easier on the school system. But all in all, the developers paid Mount Juliet for a lot more density than they ever get any other way.
Yep.
And that's just their process.
Well, it's just curious to me that they can get that out of the developer that way, but this committee hesitates on passing something that's not even a fraction of what they received. And what I just wonder is, it on our part, is it a lack of insight? Is it a lack of vision, or is it a lack of courage that we go forward and ask for additional monies for our county? So that's all I got to say. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I think it ought to be noted that Mount Juliet's actions and what they've done in the past, they have a fund balance right now, $58.5 million. Our fund balance is
27 and change.
because of actions like this. And you kinda gotta do something sometime.
Mr. Chairman,
Anything else need to be said?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
and two, we gotta provide schools and a jail with the monies that we have, and, you know, the cities don't have to provide a school or a jail. So, there's not a city in Wilson County that has to pay for a jail or a school.
Does anyone here like 50 units per acre?
Our jail's gonna have to handle it.
Also, every unit will pay $5,000 to the county. I don't care how big or small the units are. Even the Harmony House over at Mount Juliet, which is assisted living, every single unit, no matter how small they pay the adequate facility tax, every single one. So everyone is gonna pay an adequate facility
We
tax.
understand that.
Even
So
smaller.
I'm just saying that, if that's, you know, a lot of units together, we're gonna make some money on it too.
And to stay on that, Mr. Chairman, we need to rename it to inadequate facility tax.
Second that motion.
One other
Man,
motion.
the table gonna spend it for us, so.
Motion to adjourn.
Let's go.
Is there a
Get
second?
in.
Second.
Okay, thank you all.
Yeah.